Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel for another one of my Thursdoid roundups. For those that haven't watched these videos before, I take the Project Zomboid development blog post known as the Thursdoid and try to condense it down into a more digestible format for all you guys at home. If you want to see the full blog post, there is, as always, a link in the description, and if you get something useful from this video or want to support the channel, consider dropping the video a like or subscribing to the channel. Right, with that out of the way, let's get into the January 12th Thursdoid update. Now, before getting into looking at the upcoming development features, the team decides to introduce us to the new members of the Project Zomboid team. 3 new individuals are now working with the Indie Stone full-time, starting with Fenris Wolf, who is known for his work on the ORGM mod. Fenris Wolf took over this mod from the original creator and was known by many in the Project Zomboid community. The mod itself adds a plethora of guns, ammo, and mechanics to the game, all relating to firearms. Right now, the team specify that he's spending time getting reacclimated to the Project Zomboid codebase, but that the intention is for his expertise with firearms coding to come into play at some time in the future. As we already know from the previous blog post, the team does want to make a significant overhaul to firearms later down the line, so this could be the first stages of getting that ball rolling. That's just my speculation on that. Next up, joining the team is Ams, who is another very familiar name in the Project Zomboid community for many people. If you're involved with the Project Zomboid Discord or part of the early testing group, you might have seen her name around at some point. Ams was also the mastermind behind one of my channel's most popular videos, where she designed an on-rails story for me and some other content creators to play out, complete with voice actors and NPC characters played by community members. I'm sure she'll be a fantastic asset to the team in her new role, where she'll be a full-time tester alongside Yana and Sasha, also assisting in videos for upcoming blogs and the social media team. Last, but by certainly no means least, is Pat Bren, who so far has been writing up a whole bunch of content for Build 42 on a part-time basis. Stuff like new TV channels, new radio broadcasts, and lore for what's going on around the world. From here, Pat will be working with the team in a full-time capacity, which is awesome to see, especially when we start to think of all the writing that's going to be needed for NPCs when the time finally comes. From here, we're getting into the juicy stuff. The team decide that it's a good time to refresh our memories on all of the plans for Build 42, since it's been spread over various blog posts in the past. So if you haven't seen those videos or are just looking for a summary, we're about to go over that now. The main components going into Build 42, according to the devs, are the crafting and animals update, the map expansion, the engine upgrade containing lighting improvements, optimization and basements, and lastly, the multiplayer team's task of moving all inventory interactions over from client side to server side. The devs state that at this present moment, all of these aspects are at different stages. The example given is that the animals are further ahead than a lot of the other elements of crafting in terms of being able to actively test and play with it. With the crafting itself, most of the ongoing work is on the back-end code of crafting stations and component UIs. The engine upgrade is at the stage of fixing up different rendering issues that were broken with the quite fundamental changes to the system, hopefully to a point where it's ready to be merged into a test build. The map team are continuing to pump out new towns, interesting locations, and places to explore whilst we travel Knox County, with a new image of a farming and rural supply store posted in this blog that I'll show on screen for you guys now. Alongside the major work pieces for Build 42, the team are also working on several smaller implementations to improve aspects of the existing game. This includes the in-depth fire overhaul, Ateron's revamped fishing system, better farming, more imaginative and fun items to find and use in game, better events to stumble across, improved recipes, new animations and activities, improved music, and a deeper soundscape. And I think I'm going to need a breather after that list. With all that in the forefront of our minds, the developers then move on to checking in with the various departments of the team to get a more detailed look at what's ongoing currently. So, the last blog the developers mentioned they've been borrowing a gentleman known as Steve N from Ever Curious Entertainment, who has since been looking into the Project Zomboid animation system and working out some long-standing issues that the team are desperate to fix. According to the blog, the team are currently jumping into a test build to make sure that nothing else has been broken by Steve's changes, but the result will ultimately be much more silky smooth turning and 180s whilst we're playing. Next, the devs move on to Livestock, mentioning that there's been a big internal debate currently around how to make it clear to players that you'll need to designate areas that you want animals to occupy and produce within, alongside building them fences that they won't won't escape through. They have various ideas for this and are running experiments with testers currently, but I suppose if you guys have any thoughts on how this should work, drop them in the comments section below. I'd be interested to hear some of your thoughts on this, and perhaps the devs will pick up some alternate ideas to their own as well. Staying with animals, the writer of this post then goes on to say that increasingly the team are realizing how much more life non-human and non-zombie creatures add to the game. To that end, they've been experimenting with non-interactive creatures that will run off before a player can close the gap to them, which gives the game a bit more personality. We were given this clip, which shows some rats scurrying around a dumpster accompanied by a singular spider. It might not seem like a major thing, but it's all going to add up to breathing a lot more life into the game, I'd say. Moving on to all things music and sound, the Formosa UK team are in the process of getting real-life human actors to record some basic bodily noises to give extra life to the Nox event survivors. The team asked us to imagine what it would be like to escape from a dangerous situation in multiplayer with a friend or two, and when you finally reach safety, all you can hear is the panicked heavy breathing of your survivors. This is the sort of thing they're hoping to capture with the new sounds, alongside sounds of pain and exertion for various events. The devs also say that whilst they're recording this stuff, they're also going to acquire a variety of other spoken TV and radio noises that the team can then obfuscate to improve the entertainment system slightly, so that'll be pretty cool. Now, this next bit is one that I'm personally pretty excited about. Next, we move on to Ateron's work with the fishing system. The team show us some footage from the upcoming system, mentioning that there needs to be some tweaks to some of the animations and indications that a big fish has been caught, but overall, it's really getting along nicely. It'll be mixed into a build for internal testers soon, which is when Formosa can start working on sound effects. From my personal perspective, I love the changes to the foraging system, and I'm excited to try the new fishing system when it comes along as well. More active input in activities like this is absolutely needed and makes survival feel much more involved. Lastly, we get a look at a bunch of new items laid out on a table, with the devs specifically using the words "a bazillion new items" when talking about them being added to the internal test builds. I'm sure this means there's going to be a lot of new stuff we'll start to discover when this reaches the stable branch, so I'm excited to see that as well. Oh, and also, we're going to need to use hoses to siphon gas after this, according to this blog post, so yeah, you've been warned. That's it from me in this one, folks, but as always, if you want to talk about what was in this blog post or give your thoughts on any upcoming features, please do let me know in the comments. I think it's important to have positive discussion around these things and go back and forth with various ideas, so let me know. We're midway through an alternate map wipe on our Patreon Project Zomboid server at the moment too, currently on Camden County with the possibility of Clear Cove later this month. So as always, a very special thank you to all of my existing patrons for their support and for joining us on that server. There is a link in the description if you want to sign up and join them. Thanks guys, I will see you all in the next one.